Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to talk about this epic Twins win. Wow. Wow. My name is Pablo Froming. I've decided to change it. Welcome to the show. Amazing. Oh my God. What a huge win. What a huge shift. Talked about this last night, man. Now that they got out of Houston 1-1, that was not easy either. You know, they had Pablo, the guy out there. Oh my God. The lineup showed up too. You know, it wasn't just Pablo. And now we're in this situation where it's tied up. That's obviously great on its own. The Twins also can kind of say, hey, we went in their place and won a game. You know, there's multiple levels stacked on top of each other of kind of good vibes. And then you add on to that they're coming back home. They're coming back to Target Field. We are going to blow the goddamn roof off that place. It's going to be insane. Yeah, Pablo, I don't know if I can put Pablo into words either. Like I don't even know what I'm going to say about that guy. What do you even say to that? You know, this Houston team, you know, I've been talking them up this whole time that ever since we've known we were playing them. And I do think they're terrifying. And there's a reason why they've won so much in October. These guys are so good. And it's not just like they're dangerous. Like they play ball too. Like this is a very clean team. This is a team that can do a lot of different things well. You know, having that, you know, left-right kind of dual aces thing going on with Verlander and Fromber, like that's like every kind of layer. And then their balance of their lineup where they've got the two crazy dangerous righties and the two crazy dangerous lefties. Like, I think this team is so good. This team is so much better than a 90-win team to me. And for the Twins to go out there and basically from one bad pitch from Brock Stewart, shut them down. Wow. Wow, Pablo Correa, absolutely, Andrew. Carlos Correa. What? I'm having a hard time with my words, so excuse me for just saying wow like 50 times in the first couple minutes of this live stream, but like, oh my gosh, and this is the huge thing. This is a huge thing too, is like, it's not just tying up the series. It's not just coming back home. This is essentially, in a way, the Ober-Varland matchup to them now, is that they have, I'm not sure what they're going to do for sure. Maybe Christian Javier, maybe they'll probably get creative in this next game. But it's their sort of, how are we going to figure this out game that we had in game one, and we have Sonny Gray pitching at home. So it's not just tying the series and coming home. That's another part of the momentum shift too, is that now all of a sudden the Twins have the matchup in game 3 here. And that's why I didn't get off of my Twins in 4 prediction after last night. You know, it could have been easy after last night to kind of rethink that, but I thought that was the loss. It was just a tough matchup. I thought the Twins, again, they played well enough to feel good about it. And clearly they came out tonight and believed. You know, it's easy to believe when you got Pablo going out there. But that lineup believed as well. Kyle Farmer, how rewarding was that? You know, they picked him up specifically to hit lefties. That was his role. He didn't even really hit lefties all that great during the season for the most part, but he still has that. You know, he still has that ability. That didn't go anywhere. Some of these splits are such small sample sizes in individual seasons. And then for him to come out and hit that home run tonight, I mean, this man sacrificed his God-given face for us. Had to completely rebuild his face this year. Came back out, guaranteed the playoff win. Just very cool. You know, another one of those layers of this team really being all 26 plus guys, because you know we've seen other guys. So many guys have contributed to this run, and just to have Kyle Farmer step up tonight was so awesome. I'm gonna be honest, I can't keep up with the chat. So Dave, you sent me a super chat. I thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you everybody for showing up. I know a lot of y'all who are also Vikings fans. It was a long sports day today, so thanks for fitting me into your sports schedule. Whew. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was. I said after the Twins won the series against Toronto, I said there's kind of some players on this team that you could kind of give them a stamp. They kind of graduated to another level, and you could say these guys have now postseason success. Now they didn't have that like Correa level of that stamp. His is like sealed and minted. The ink was still drying a little bit. I think winning a road game at Houston gets a lot of these guys another stamp. This is another kind of layer of belief. I think we can grab onto this even more now, that this team has gone into a tough environment against what the most successful playoff team of this generation. Is that fair to say? I think that's probably fair to say. Certainly the most successful American League team of this generation, and won a ball game at their place. Gets a really good pitcher. I know Fromber. He struggled. He had a hard time out there, and he definitely didn't have his best stuff. It's not like the Twins beat prime Fromber. He was kind of missing his spots a little bit, but they did an awesome job. Taking advantage, and just kind of keep on tacking on those insurance runs. And that was so key to open up the opportunity to let Pablo pitch maybe an inning, maybe a little bit more than he might have if this was a tighter ball game. It was awesome performance by the Twins tonight. Yeah, it's not going to get that. I mean, I thought that Houston was going to score 4 to 6 runs every game of this series. I said that last night. Amazing that the Twins held them to 2 runs. I think, again, that lineup, that core 4 that they have is so good. And then there's other guys in that lineup. Jeremy Pena had such an amazing postseason last year, and we saw him do some pretty crazy stuff tonight. Chas McCormick had a great year. I think that's a little bit gone under talked about because of how good these other guys are. But this Houston team, man, it's so good. It's so good. And yeah, to go in there and take a game, and for Pablo Lopez to just be so good. So good. Overwhelming how dialed in he was. He was so sharp, and he has so many weapons. He can do so many different things in terms of if he's going to face guys 3 times in a night, he can have 3 different looks for him. He didn't even throw a sweeper all that much tonight compared to some of his regular season starts. We saw that old changeup coming. It's kind of vintage Pablo, where he went back to that changeup a little more. I still think that's his best pitch, but clearly the sweeper has sort of set up a lot of other things. Awesome win. Again. Yeah, well, yeah, I will say that. Am I the only one that thinks that Astros fans are pretty tame? From M. Digler down there. I mean, I think they were in these 2 games for sure. I think the Twins did some good stuff to ensure that. And I do think, to be fair, to be honest, I think fan bases get a little bit comfortable with these early rounds and maybe aren't as desperate as, we are. As you saw, Baltimore was pretty hype. As Phillies, they've had a lot of success, Phillies and other teams in that city, but they're just animals. They're just wild. I love it. I love it. But yeah, they're just bananas. Yeah, Andrew's saying, yeah, they're just so used to being there, and they got loud, but it was more of when you expected it. They got loud, when something great happened, they got loud, which every Tropicana is probably gonna get loud when something good happens in October, so I wasn't too surprised there. But yeah, I thought certainly the Astros are going to be coming in to Target Field, and they ain't never seen Target Field like this before. They ain't never seen, this Astros team. They played super well on the road this year, super well. They've gone into a lot of crazy environments. Again, all these guys have so much postseason experience. It's insane. But they have not seen Target Field like they're going to see Target Field. This is a different Target Field than they've ever seen. Man, I just love the way this lines up for the Twins. Again, it's going to be sunny in Game 3. They haven't announced it officially yet, but I think it's going to be Joe Ryan in Game 4. And Joe Ryan at home is a lot different than Joe Ryan potentially at Houston. And then, if necessary, if it goes to Game 5, you got to go back to Houston, and that doesn't make you feel real great. But who are you going to have again? It's going to be Pablo. So that's what Houston is up against now. They got to take 2 out of 3 from us. With that being the case, with us having home field advantage, and with Sonny and Pablo pitching 2 of these 3 games more than likely, Joe hopefully showing up big in Game 4. Love the way this works out now. Absolutely love the way this is looking. This was a must-win game for the Twins. Absolutely. And they went out and did it in pretty convincing fashion. I mean, I know, the Jordan home run, him going off again, just insane. But Sarah Langs, the kind of the goat of fun baseball facts on Twitter, shares that when a division series with the current 2-2-1 format has been tied after 2 games, the club heading home for the games 3 and 4 has wound up winning the series 28 of 42 times. That's 67% of the time. 67% of the time. 2/3 of the time in these situations, the club heading home takes the series. Massive win for the Twins today. I'm fired up. Absolutely fired up about this game. Twins played great. They played great. They made some great plays in the field. That Correa play to end the game. Are you kidding me? Our boy Polanco, he hit the crap out of the ball a few times. He made a great little pick in the field as well. Looking a little bit more comfortable at second base there. I don't really feel like getting quite into Game 4 yet. We got to take this one thing at a time. Again, I like the way it lines up. I feel good about it. Again, I think Game 3 is the biggest. Game 1 was the biggest mismatch of the whole series. Game 3 is going to be the biggest mismatch in favor of the Twins. So I feel good that we're going to be at a great spot. We got people naming their kids Pablo. It's going to be a lot of like Pablos and Carloses popping up across Minnesota for a while, I feel like. Oh, man. Amazing. Jordan is so dangerous. Terrifying. And, he's been everything you could expect. It's just incredible. Because if you think about it, like, hitting home runs in the home run derby, where you're literally trying to be grooved pitches to hit home runs, isn't automatic. And this guy's hit 3 in 2 games. That's insane. It just seems like if you give him anything he can reach, you're putting yourself at risk. I think that's what's so amazing about Pablo. Pablo pitching, having this shutout outing, like, that lineup is insane. And in that place, Pablo to do that was just remarkable. And I never really got nervous. The Jeremy Pena leadoff double was like, oh, okay. I figured, leadoff double, they got the top of their lineups going to be coming up in a second. They'll probably scratch one across here, but we still got this. No, he even pitched around that. Like, what? Amazing. Pablo Lopez. Oh, so locked in. He was so sharp. Andy, I probably will not be able to make it out to these games, to Target Field in this series. It was kind of tricky to make it work with my work schedule and kids and all that stuff. And there's only so much I can move around and do. It's not a definite no. We'll see. But right now it's probably not. But I'm not worried. That was the thing too. Like during the Toronto series, I felt kind of obligated to be there. Because, I was worried there was gonna be a lot of Blue Jays fans. I wasn't sure how Twins fans would show out. To be honest, I'll be just being honest. And Twins fans kicked ass. Twins fans kicked ass in that series. Heading into that first game and seeing like tickets were $8 or whatever on StubHub, it was like, oh man, I don't know about this. People didn't seem fired up, and then it was amazing. The crowds in the first two games at Target Field were unbelievable, unbelievable. Like really, I'm not worried. I'm not worried anymore. I'm not needed. If I end up there, I'll be going berserk. But I know everybody that's going to be there is going to be losing their damn minds. It's going to be psychos. It's going to be psychos at Target Field. Yeah, because we're just dying. We all have that deep, Minnesota sports dread. We all got that. We all know that's there. We all have that voice in the back of our heads when we start to let in that belief a little bit. There's that voice that back there that's like, don't let them get you. Don't let them get you again. They got you before. Don't let them get you again. Don't put your whole self out there. But if you open up that window to belief, like the Twins did in the first two games against Toronto, and those two games against Toronto, we will lose our minds. If you give us an opening, we want that more than anything. We want that more than anything. Give us a reason to believe. And we will lose our damn minds. We want this so bad. And, it is bigger than the Twins at this point. It is bigger than the Twins at this point. At this point in this state, it's every sports fan. It's every sports fan. And, I've taken some shots at some of the sort of casuals in the past, but we all kind of own this collectively, and that we're all desperate, and yeah, there's some aspects to that where we hold back sometimes for sure, but if the Twins get a lead early, especially in these games, that stadium might just break open and melt, like Rocco was saying. We might tear that thing down. Like it's gonna be insane. I'm so fired up. I'm so excited to see it. It's gonna be amazing. Oh, Jackson. There's a lot of other stuff going on too. It's not just it's not just money. It's I got a day job. I got other stuff going on. I got kids and stuff. I also I don't know how many times I want to be crying on the cons courses at Target Field this year too. But again, I mean, I'd love to go, but I don't. I felt like I needed to be there in that Toronto series. Like I don't feel that way. I don't feel like that for this series. I'm very confident in my fellow Twins fans to jam pack that place and lose their goddamn minds. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. All right. So what do we got else on the game? I mean, again, it's hard to put into words, Pablo. It was really nice to see Duran have an outing there where he just it made it real simple. He hasn't always done that, of course, but he's looked really good this postseason. I feel like Duran, which is great. There's some guys in the lineup who have not shown up yet. We'll put it that way. Who have not shown up yet. Royce going first to third. He was running well. He was running really well on that one. And I know the Jeffers bunt. I know they successfully did that, I think, twice with Ryan Jeffers at the plate. I believe in the regular season that 2 times they successfully had a sac bunt in which Ryan Jeffers successfully had someone come in to score. It was the same base runner, too. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Kyle Farmer. I could be misremembering that. But yeah, that was the weirdest call of the game, I felt like. That was just kind of an odd. It was interesting though. I'll say that way. That's not a call that your manager makes if he's kind of if he's playing kind of close to the vest and if he's playing tight. That's not a call your manager makes. That was a loosey-goosey call, to use a Ryan Jeffers quote from his pre-postseason interview. So in a way, that was kind of it was interesting. I didn't love it. It was weird, but I kind of like the fact that Rocco threw that out there a little bit. That was kind of like a big trust, I guess, call. So interesting. Yeah, the Pablo bunt. I think he was trying to get a hit, and it just sort of worked out nicely as a sack bunt too. Obviously, when it works, it seems like a better idea, and that one worked. It was only a sacrifice, but it still really put a lot of pressure on. And then the Jeffers one did not work. Royce did an awesome job getting in that rundown, though, and making sure the other guys made it third to second. He did really good. That was a great effort by him. I mean, gosh, with that, Pablo was so good. There was a few plays made in the field, but it was like almost every play was pretty routine. Carlos made that amazing play to end the game. Jorge Polanco made a nifty little pick, but it wasn't like some kind of super web gem that you'd see end up on a highlight reel. Other than that, the Twins just played solid in the field. They didn't have to do too much. Pablo was just amazing. Incredible. Why skip Ryan for Ober? It was Ryan is we talked about this on one of the streams. But Ryan, he's a home run guy, extreme fly ball pitcher. So was Ober to some extent in terms of fly balls. But Joe's also been horrible on the road this year. Just absolutely garbage. Joe Ryan's really had a bad year on the road. I don't know how much you can invest into that, but it's a thing. You make like 15 starts on the road, and your numbers are pretty bad. That's going to be kind of in the back of your manager's mind. And I think whoever was going to make that start was only going to pitch like 3 innings anyway. No matter if it was Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, or Kenta Maeda, I didn't expect any of those guys to go along. Again, it was just a really rough matchup for the Twins in that first game. And again, like I said last night, I felt like they fought hard, and they didn't have any reason to leave that game like feeling deflated or having their heads hung down too low. And clearly they felt that way too, because they came out and punched Houston right in the face in this game. That was so great to see. Such a huge factor too in how Pablo could have such a great start and go so long was that he had that run support. And God, I mean, this run support they've been saving up for Sonny Gray and banking up after all these starts where they'd never score for Sonny Gray. It'd be real cool if they cash those in this next game here, because it would be wonderful to see Sonny Gray have that same kind of opportunity to pitch super deep into the game without there being so much pressure, to have some of a blanket to work with. That's just such a huge deal. Polanco. Man, I love Jorge Polanco so much. Probably one of my top 5 favorite players on this team. I call him the flex tape, those commercials where they slap the tape on like a huge, barrel of water and it seals it up. I think like Jorge Polanco is that guy to me, and as this offense evolved, it's been a little bit less that case. But I think, the current composition of this lineup, they reflect him a little bit more, is I guess how I would put it, to where, when he came back for the first time from his injury, it was just such a difference maker that there was this guy that, could put the ball in play when you need somebody to put the ball in play, get a bunt down when you need somebody to get bunt down. I know that he didn't sacrifice bunt all year, but he could do that. There's just a lot of things that he can do really well. Obviously a switch hitter too, which, this team has been, and that's not been the case lately. I know in the second half, but this team has been kind of up and down in terms of their platoon splits. And Jorge is he's just so, and just his personality too. I think he's just so cool. Jorge Polanco is just cool as hell. I love him so much. I know we were kind of questioning what they would do with him. Talking about his third base defense, he played second tonight with Farmer at third, and then Willie came in and played third. But I still love the fact that Jorge is willing to go out there and play third, a position he's barely played before, and be a team guy for a new kid. How many veteran guys, if you approach them and we're like, we have this rookie who we want to keep his bat in the lineup, would you be willing to play third? They'd be like, screw that guy. He could play third. I'm staying where I'm. That second base is my spot. How many veteran guys would do that? Probably more than half, I bet. More than half, I bet. And Polanco, I just think that speaks really highly for him. You can only change the roster mid-series for an injury. That is correct. Yep. Ooh. Oh, I'm fired up, you guys. I'm tired, though. These games, man, I'm not built for this. I'm not built for these stressful games. This is why I like baseball. Playoff baseball is just on a different level that I am not used to getting up on. I love the 162 game season. I love following day to day. You guys know that. This is fun. I'm having fun, but this is taking a toll. Whew. Pablo got that dog in him, man. Does he ever? He's a different dude, man. He's a different dude. So locked in. And I've said this coming into actually both of these games, that we've talked about the Minnesota sports psyche some too, but man, that getting that first win, I have not really had that kind of weird buzzing anxiety these last 3 games. Even after last night's loss and feeling like this was the pivotal game of the entire series. I did not come in to today feeling that kind of like that, excitement, but then that doom dread back there, that's been very quiet ever since the playoff streak got snapped. I think these guys are different, man. I think this team is different. Yeah, Carlos Correa is a big part of that, man. Carlos Correa is just beyond the way he produces. He clearly has an impact on his teammates. And just everybody can kind of rally around that. And I think you can look around and be like, we feel pretty good. This guy knows what the hell he's doing out here. We get into trouble, this dude's going to find a way. And all 4 games, even the game the Twins lost yesterday, Correa made a huge impact. That deke move that he made to get Abreu on that Jeffers throw, the ball that got away, that was insane. That was a great finer point that he's just so engaged and locked in on every little thing that's going on. It's remarkable. And I felt like Pablo was he got up to that level to where not only was his stuff was the best stuff that I've seen out of him all year. I feel like he and Jeffers did have a great game of attack. I kind of mentioned on Twitter, I didn't think Jeffers had the best game behind the plate. I think he was giving up on a lot of pitches that could have been framed for strikes. But actually, like immediately after that tweet, he actually looked much better from that point on. He might be getting a little tired. He might be getting a little tired, Ryan Jeffers. I couldn't blame him. He's not used to catching every night. There's so much preparation that goes into these games too. Beyond just performing on the field, there's so much extra preparation that a catcher has to do. Whatever, your first baseman or whoever doesn't have to do that. So, it would be reasonable if he's a little maybe tired, maybe a little worn down physically and mentally. So, but yeah, Jeffers at the end of the day, he called a good ass game. He and Pablo worked together super well. And yeah, they got it done. Whew. Yeah. Have her back throughout the first pitch every game. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, man. I think people are going to be fighting over that. I think there's going to be people fighting to get that honor right now. Because how much fun is this going to be with the Twins? Huge win, massive series tying win, coming back home. It's going to be electric. It's going to be electric. Again, the place is going to split open and melt down. There will not be a target field I don't know what we're gonna do after this because that place is just getting torn down piece by piece. It's gonna be madness. I love it. The squeeze play with Rose Sampley, we talked about a little bit. I thought that was a really weird call. They were trying to kind of catch him off guard. To be fair, again, I'm almost certain that they successfully did that with Ryan Jeffers twice this year. So that's something that they had success with. But yeah, it seemed cute. It seemed a little too cute for sure. Continuing to tack on. It was such a different performance from the lineup. Where the first night they had such a hard time, taking advantage of opportunities. And they certainly missed some opportunities tonight too. It's not like they got every single opportunity they had. They did such a better job taking advantage of those opportunities tonight and just continuing to score. That's going to be so important against Houston. Because I really feel like, and I know Pablo shut him down, but every time that top of the order comes up in my mind, I'm like, okay, they're going to score at least one here. So let's find a way to keep it at one. And I know Pablo kept him off the board multiple times. Amazing. Why was the Astros card so mid? Again, I feel like they get used to it. You kind of get used to it as a fan base, and I think it's kind of only natural. They're not going to lose their minds this early. They're not as desperate. I really think that is what it comes down to. They're not as desperate, whereas we are. We will scratch your eyeballs out. We're so desperate here, as Twins fans. We are desperate. We are desperate as hell. And, if you're a Houston fan, you're not going to be up on that level this early. And especially after the Twins punched him in the face to open this game, I do have some concerns about Target Field getting a little down if that were to happen. Based off of the reactions I saw from people after the Twins got down in game 1, I had to kind of tell people like, hey, I had people telling me this was going to be a sweep after 4 innings of game 1. Like, get out of here. Get out of here with that garbage. For real. Ugh. Oh, we've got money conversations. That's always fun. Yeah, I think that's a really hard argument to make after, they signed Correa. They signed Pablo to an extension. But I also think, like, why the hell are we talking about that right now? Who I don't give a shit if their payroll was $10 million this year right now. I don't care. They just won a game at Houston against Framber Valdez, a left-handed starting pitcher who's good as hell. I do not care about how many dollars were or were not spent right now. And Carlos Correa was the shit in this game. So especially that. Like, get out of here. Get out of here with that. Oh, man. Yeah, and the Twins bullpen set up pretty good. I think with this game not being as close, Houston's also there. One of the things I was going to be kind of curious about is if we could get Presley back out there tonight. I think that would have been good for the rest of the series. Get him a bunch of work. Not that not that having it so not close that Presley wasn't needed was bad. I'll take that. Well, I'll take how it came down. But both bullpens are going to be pretty lined up pretty good. Duran had a really efficient outing. No concerns there. Off day tomorrow. But yeah, the starting pitching matchup really shifts in favor of the Twins in game 3. Game 4, I'm assuming that these haven't been released yet, but I'm assuming that Verlander would pitch on short rest in game 4. That's been my assumption. Somebody told me they don't think that's going to be the case. I would be shocked. I think Verlander and Framber are going to pitch on short rest in games 4 and game 5 if necessary. That's my expectation, but I don't know. Yeah, man, the Pablo trade, it's tough. It was tough. I liked it at the time. I said, I wish there was another way they could figure out how to do it that didn't involve a rise. But I said if that was the trade, then I would have accepted it as well. You know, we love Luis Ariz. We love, I've never thrown that at anybody's face who was bummed out about that because, um, one of the most likable Twins ever, honestly, Luis Ariz. Guy, man, like, talk about guys that can lock in, and be so attentive all the time. Luis Ariz, I mean, incredible at that. So I understand there was a lot of pain in that regard because people didn't know Pablo. People didn't know Pablo. People knew Luis. Um, I totally got the fan reaction at the time. It was understandable. But man, that was a huge risk too. Just think about that. That was a huge risk. This front office, you got to give them credit for having giant balls. I mean, they traded their most recent first round pick for Sonny Gray. That's crazy. You do not see that very often. They traded their closer on the opening day eve in that Paddock trade. That was insane. They've stuck with Pagan all this time. That's kind of crazy. They traded Luis Ariz for Pablo Lopez. They've just done a lot of super aggressive stuff and really believe in their guys. And it's really impressive. It's amazing. But at this point, I think anybody has to say they would do Pablo over again. Pablo for Ariz. And I think those prospects, even though Salas had a bad year, there's still things in his game I like. He's still really young. And then Chiriot, that he's so young. He's like 18, 19 still. So just miles away. But both those guys are players. Like, both those guys are guys to be aware of, absolutely, in the system. So it's not a lot of people kind of misrepresent that trade as a 1-for-1, and it was not a 1-for-1 trade at all. The Twins got some nice prospects in that deal. Obviously, we don't really care that much because, and this is coming from a prospects guy, when you're in your competitive cycle, it's like, it's hard to really put that much emphasis on the prospects coming back because your primary objective is to win now. But they kind of did a little bit both. They did a little bit of both. You have to give something to get something. You have to give something to get something. I mean, Adam Wainwright talked about it on the broadcast that he was shocked that the Marlins traded Pablo Lopez away, because he's such a talented guy. And, the Twins not only got him, but they unlocked another level. This guy was like a 2-pitch pitcher before he came here. I know that sweeper stories got borderline overtold, but that has really unlocked another level in him. And we saw how important that was tonight. He was able to keep Houston off balance. And, talking about Joe Ryan, that's kind of something that he hasn't put together yet. I think he's gonna, though. I honestly think Joe Ryan is gonna. He's gotten better. His splitter is showing a lot of potential. I think he's gonna get there, but he's just not there yet. That's a huge difference between, a guy who's pretty one-dimensional fairly as a starting pitcher and a guy who can get you however he wants. We saw that with Verlander yesterday. When a guy has multiple ways to get you, he doesn't need his best stuff working. He can switch up his game plan. That's huge. So, yeah, you were never going to get Pablo Lopez for, I don't know, whoever you wanted to throw out there to get him. You were going to have to give up something that was really painful, and the Twins did that. And, credit for them to taking that risk, Yeah, that was an ace, man. Yeah, again, like Pablo, that's like the main guy that I say, you get that extra stamp, that extra seal. Like, you break the curse, you already are getting that. You come out here and go into Houston and shut them out. I think I saw he was like one of the first pitchers in 20 years, or whatever, to do that. Like, basically the first pitcher in this insane run that they've had to pitch this well against them, on the road, especially. So, Pablo is putting himself like up, way up. And it's awesome, man. It is awesome to see. Yeah, how weird was that saga, by the way? Good call out on the Mackey and Wes Johnson thing. Wes Johnson was supposed to be this, badass pitching coach. he leaves mid-season. Like, what for college? That was weird, man. That was really weird. And Twins just have kept it up. So that kind of shows you that it wasn't one guy. I'm sure they learned a lot from Wes. I'm sure there was a lot of things they picked up that they currently still have implemented that kind of originated from Wes. But it shows you they have a little bit more. They have a little bit more to it than that. It's not just one pitching coach. It's not just one thing here or there. It's more than that. Yeah, Solano and Farmer. Yeah, Solano. That's a good word to put it on. Mature. No, I like that. Solano does have mature at bats. He's gonna be in there. He's gonna be grinding. He's gonna grind out at bats. It really did feel like this whole game, the Twins had good at bats. Even when there was like a moment where I thought, oh man, a short inning would not be good here. Like for Houston, like if they get us out on 8 pitches, that would suck right now. With how things were going. And it seemed like every inning, even if the Twins didn't get something going, they still stretched things out. They still had good at bats. That was a 1 through 9 effort. I love that. Love that. There's not another lefty beside Caleb Thielbar in the bullpen, but Houston absolutely slaughters left-handed pitching. They were the second best team in baseball against lefties. Yes, they have Jordan and Tucker who are lefties. So you would think like, well, you want to neutralize those guys. Both of them have incredibly good and even platoon splits. So it's like you're kind of screwed against those guys no matter what you do. So, the thought process is probably just try to get your best pitchers facing those guys, regardless of what handed they are. And even though Fundy was amazing in his short time with the Twins, amazing in the minors, such a great year for him. I understand why they left him off of this series. Kind of nice that Caleb didn't have to throw today. So he gets 2 off days in a row. Very nice. Yeah, and he'll if things change, I'm not scouting ahead at this point yet. But if things change and the conversation's a bit different if the Twins advance and they face another team, I wouldn't rule Fundy being back on the roster. I think they would turn back to him if necessary. So we'll see. And I like that. I like that approach of you want to build that 26-man roster based off who you're facing. I think that was the right call. I do love Funderburk, though. He's been fun. All right. You guys lost me. All right. But it's been over 40 minutes. Man, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. You guys got any other questions? Any questions for me? I love the side conversation, though. Don't get me wrong. I know I said you lost me, but that's one of my favorite parts about these. Is that you guys all get together too. I feel like this is an opportunity for us to come together and talk about a lot of stuff. Absolutely love it. These live streams, man, these don't always get the most views, but I have the most fun. I have the most fun on these. Absolutely blast. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll give a little moment for any kind of last questions that off-season wish list. Man, we're not going to get into that yet. We're gonna have months to talk about that stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I'm in the now right now. I'm in on game 3 right now. Yeah. How happy are Willie Castro? Absolutely, Willie. He's been getting squeezed, man. He's been getting, and I think that's definitely part of why I've been a little bit sensitive about the ball strike calling. Is because they're getting my boy Willie. They're after my boy Willie, and I don't appreciate it. So, yeah, Correa's leadership. Yeah, that's been an X factor. That's been an X factor. Should Farmer start more? I think that's an interesting question because obviously he probably won't unless it's Fromber in Game 5. We'll see him out there again. But I still, even with Jorge having a nice catch yesterday, I still do feel like I don't love him at third base defensively. So I still like the idea of maybe having some more Willie or some more Castro at third, or Farmer at third. I just love that they have so many different options. Absolutely love it. Yeah, Correa is next level, man. That's a good way to put it. how do you even like explain the kind of stuff that he can do? That he is. That's it. Next level. He's so locked in. He has so much of an understanding of the game, and is so attentive to every little detail. It's amazing. And again, and beyond just what he can do on the field, he brings everybody up in that clubhouse, and everybody feels like they got a chance with him out there. Yeah, I don't feel super comfortable with Polanco at third base as much as I love Polanco. And Alexander, you're saying you're a Polanco guy too. Makes me a little bit nervous. I feel like I feel a lot more calm with Willie or Farmer out there at third for sure. Appreciate Polanco for being able to do what he does for the team, but I do think it's a bit of a deficiency when he's out there at third. Then if you put him at second, what are you going to do with Julian? So it's kind of tricky. I don't know. And Julian's played so little first. It's kind of hairy to put him out there. We just have to hope that Correa is going to play third. Lewis is going to play third at some point. Neither Rocco or Falvey would rule that out for this series, that Lewis would play third. So keep that in mind. Royce he kind of has a little bit of a hitch. You can tell he's kind of favoring a leg, but I think he's run really well. Chris mentioned how he went first to third. I think that was on Correa's hit. He went first to third. He looked pretty good in that rundown where he's having to make a bunch of cuts. I almost was expecting him to get taken out of the game at that point. Jeffers is struggling a little bit at the plate, but he's also hit the ball pretty hard. I think they're going to look to get Vasquez in here at some point. But maybe it's not in a full game. Maybe Jeffers comes off the bench at some point to I was going to say pinch hit, but they don't have any lefties, so there wouldn't be like a natural spot. Kepler's been a little quiet. I think that's fair to say. Kepler hasn't had his moment yet, but there's time. There's time. Tonight was a tough matchup with the lefty. I think whoever Houston is going with tomorrow, I think actually that's a good call. I think that's a good. If you want to call on a guy who's going to break out and have a big game who hasn't done much, I'd say in Game 3, I'd say Kepler's a real good call. Correa's ankle. I loved it. Some people were tweeting about how Correa had more postseason RBI than the entire Giants and Mets put together this year, and that was I forgot who that was. But it was great. It's great. Steal some bases. I mean, they could have tried to steal some bases and run into an out before Kyle Farmer hit that home run. So that would have looked pretty stupid in hindsight. They did lay down a bunt. 2 games in game 1, they did attempt to steal with Michael A. Taylor. So it's not like they're not trying that stuff, but I want this team to play the game that they play. I think they've been doing that and having success. I don't like the idea of them breaking out from what they usually do. Stick with what got you there. Stick with what you're good at. Stick with what you're built for. And that's kind of what this team was built to do, is hit the crap out of the ball. It's not easy to string together a bunch of hits or a bunch of positive outcomes. It's so easy to be like, just hit a double, bunt the guy over and hit a sac fly. Like it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And I know people are pretty frustrated with all the double plays, but man, when you smoke the ball like the Twins do and you hit the ball like 100 miles per hour, it's easy to turn a double play when you smoke the ball. So, it's kind of goes both ways. Yeah. Yeah, and I think they're going to look for spots. That's what that weird Ryan Jeffers bunt tells me. Like, the Twins are not completely averse to kind of trying to throw in the element of surprise every once in a while. I didn't love that one, and especially it didn't work. It's easy to say when it doesn't work. Easy to say when it doesn't work, but yeah, I think this team. I'd love to see this team just keep hitting the crap out of the ball. Honestly, and there are going to be nights where you might get shut down, but I think that's going to be a good approach in Game 3. We'll just put it that way. All right, that's what we're going down. Thank you so much for joining me. I had a blast. Go Twins! Coming back home. Let's go, baby.